That's what matters.
Absolutely. And then with moving on to the snare mic, obviously there were two snare tops. I gave you a snare bottom and a snare side. What were your decisions about the...
Let's look and see. It looks like I'm using a little bit of everything. And I remember specifically kind of blending in the snare side, and it's been years since I myself have put a snare side mic up, but I quite enjoyed this one. It just kind of gives you a little ambience, it's a little bit like a room mic. So yeah, I'm using them all a bit here. And again, I didn't really phase align. I'm assuming that my assistant Mike did a pass of phase aligning the snare, so here he's gonna get called out. Yeah, but that looks pretty good. Like if I zoom in on these waveforms right there, that's pretty good. They're reacting pretty similar. By the time I get a prepared project, I would assume that all of the mics have already been treated for phase. So then I mainly just have to worry about phase between those and the samples that I add. And then any phase relationship changes that happen with processing, which again, it's just another can of worms that you get into when you go deep with phase. But yeah, I did use all of them, and they're probably gated pretty heavy. And I think on this particular track, I ended up splitting it up into 4 bands to really control how much bleed I'm getting. And another thing you can do using the multi-brand expansion method is control the feel of your ghost notes. So it allows you to kind of use a threshold on this expander, which is kind of like the gate threshold, and dial in how much of those ghost notes you want to come through. Because if it's hitting heavy compression afterwards, you don't want those ghost notes to sound unnatural, like unnaturally loud. So in this case, particularly on the top end, you can see like the threshold is a little lower on these lower bands.